The Summoner's Nexus TCG is a digital indie trading card game that I've been working on for the last 3.5 odd years. Now that it's in its pre-alpha / open beta phase and anyone who wants to can play it, I decided to start teaching people how to play the game, the rules and mechanics, and how certain decks function. Now, today we're going to be starting with this deck on the screen. This is a deck list built around the Wandering subset, one of the main groups of cards in this game. This is a combination or variation of the deck that I personally enjoy piloting, but in truth, there are multiple different ways to play any given deck in this game. You choose which 10 cards are in your opening hand, so if you prefer one set of cards over another, where and how you position them actually really matters in terms of how your strategy comes to life. Now, the main theme for this group of cards is spatial manipulation. They are the Wanderers. They wander across the board from one point to the other, and the card that does this the best is the Wandering Ryu, the linchpin of the deck. So much of what you do is built around this card because he is your strongest offensive card, he is your strongest defensive card, and because he can move around the field at will, you're allowed to use him to basically do he can fill almost any role you want him to in a given game. The trade-off is that it's very transparent, right? You will never surprise your opponent with the Wandering Ryu's main abilities, those being Kirin and Dragon Dance. Now, with the ability Kirin, the Wandering Ryu is able to teleport itself to your assault zone and boost itself up by about 100 attack. Now, when it does that, it also gains the Quicken status effect, which allows it to move faster across the board. It's supposed to be like a lightning bolt streaking towards your opponent to try and take them out as quickly as possible. Dragon Dance is the defensive version of that, where he can teleport to your defense zone, boost himself up by 100, and also cleanse himself of any existing status conditions, so he actually has some sustain on him. Dragon Dance has an inbuilt weakness though, because it can't be used turn after turn after turn, because you have to teleport to the defense zone. If he's already in the defense zone, then there's no way to actually get him there. Kirin doesn't have that same problem because as soon as you summon him in the assault zone, he leaves. Those are the two abilities that you tend to use the most with the Wandering Ryu. Sometimes people use Switch, which is the ability that he has to switch places with any of your wandering cards on the field at the end of either of the movement phases, and this can be really cool for mix-ups. This is the only way that you're going to be surprising your opponent, is trying to mix up using Switch, but it means that you would have to give up using either of the two effects that I just mentioned, and both of those effects are really good, so most people tend to focus on those. Now, outside of the Wandering Ryu, the other cards in the deck do actually function pretty well even in his absence. The concept behind this is that you have the rank 1 cards in the deck that tend to tribute themselves or sacrifice themselves in some way in order to give beneficial effects to the other cards, primarily the rank 2 cards in the deck. Now, to make this fast and also as simple as possible, I'm going to explain why certain cards are where they are while also explaining those cards' abilities. So, in my opening hand, I have the Wandering Phoenix, the Wandering Wukong, the Wandering Tuertian, Ryu, who we've already talked about, and the Wandering Boss Guardian. Starting with the Boss Guardian, he has an effect where if he is destroyed, I get to draw 1 card. He is a defender, but a very little one. Now, I tend to put him on the field on turn 1. One, because it's some defense. If I need more, I can always use Dragon Dance on Ryu to add more to that, but also more importantly, he allows me to draw 1 card when he's destroyed, which can really put me ahead in terms of resources just over the course of the first few turns of the game. So my opponent might not even want to attack into that card. That's the real power of Boss Guardian, is he sort of scares them away, because if they do destroy him, you gain a benefit. Aside from Boss Guardian, we've also got Tuertian in the hand. Tuertian's main ability is Bound, where if he is destroyed, the first time he is destroyed, you can return him to your hand, which is just really good sustain. So you tend to throw him out somewhat recklessly to be a beat stick or a beater, and if he dies, he comes back once, which is awesome, but he's also got this ability called Leap, which allows him to move faster on the field, similar to what Ryu does, but if he does it, he can't attack directly for the rest of that turn, so you kind of have to be smart about how and when you use it. The Wandering Wukong is here because, this is a very aggressive build that I've made. Oh, I say very aggressive, it's quite aggressive, right? Now, Wukong, when he's summoned, boosts every card in your assault and in your counter zones by 50 attack permanently, and so the idea is you summon Ryu on turn 1 along with maybe Boss Guardian, and you could put maybe the Phoenix on the field, that's absolutely fine. Then on turn 2, you summon Wukong, you summon Tuertian, both of them will be in your assault zone, and then you use Kirin on Ryu to bring him back to your assault zone and get the biggest boost just imaginable off of Wukong's effect. There are other ways that you can use this to also gain really big boosts, but this is the way that I like to use it more often than not. He's got another effect called Wukong status half, but it doesn't come up that often. Then we have the Wandering Phoenix, who is in here as our sort of supportive buff. If we need more offense early in the game, that is why we have this card, because you contribute this card to the graveyard, target a card you control, boost it up by 200 attack, but it is ignited and it can't attack directly for the rest of the game. Now, the thing about being ignited is you lose 50 attack on the spot, which means that this is actually a 150 attack boost, and then you lose 50 attack over the course of the next couple of turns while you have the ignited status condition. However, that is why we play Exorcism in our opening hand. So if we open a chain, Exorcism has the ability to remove, it cleanses any existing status conditions, and it prevents new ones from being applied. So if we open a chain by targeting a card with the Wandering Phoenix, right, that card is going to be ignited when the chain resolves. However, we chain Exorcism onto that activation. When the chain resolves backwards, the card will be cleansed before the Wandering Phoenix can apply its ignite status condition, so you just get the free 200 attack boost with no real drawbacks other than the fact that you can no longer attack directly. The Wandering Phoenix is also really important in the strategy because it plays well with Zodiac Barrier. Now, what this card says is you target one card, that card is protected, then you target a second card, and any damage that the first card would have taken, the second card takes instead, right? The first card is completely fortified and insulated for the rest of the turn. It gains a fortified status condition, right? Now, the trick with this is you activate this card, Zodiac Barrier, and you target something like Ryu or something that you want to like hit hard with or is about to get hit really hard. And then you use the Wandering Phoenix as the barrier. Now, why would you use Phoenix as a barrier if Phoenix has 0 attack and defense? It's obviously going to be blown up. Well, Barrier does not say that the card you're using for protection needs to stay on the field, which means in a situation where I activate Zodiac Barrier and I choose the Phoenix to be my sacrifice, I can activate Phoenix's effect afterwards to tribute itself, give me a boost. I still gain the protection of fortification, and I get the boost from Phoenix as well. You get the best of both worlds. It's a really, really good combo, and then it also ties in with Wandering Anim. Because Phoenix's ability is activated, I can use it whenever I want to. Anim says that when a card is tributed to the graveyard, I can return a card from my graveyard to my hand, and so having Phoenix on the field allows me to trigger this basically on command if any of my cards get destroyed and I want them back. There's a lot of aggressive energy that comes with this, like there's a lot of combo potential, but there is also the potential to run out of steam somewhat early on depending on how the flow of the game goes. So what I'm going to do now is take this into a training mode match and showcase the thought process, the plays that I'm going to make and why and how I'm doing them. Okay, so I chose the random playstyle for the AI, so I don't know what it's going to be coming at me with, sort of to simulate what a real match would be like. I also chose a hard difficulty, which means that every card that I play against will have 300 attack and defense. Maybe not the best thing for a tutorial, but we're here, so we're just going to run with it. Now, I will put the Wandering Boss Guardian in my defense zone. That's where he belongs. I'll put Ryu in my counter zone. The reason why I put Ryu in the counter zone to start with is because depending on what my opponent does, I can either use Kieran or Dragon Dance to put myself in the relevant zones, because if I was in the assault zone to begin with, I couldn't Kieran if that was meaningful because I'm already in the assault zone. Same thing with Dragon Dance in the defense zone, and then I'll put Phoenix on the field early on to allow us to play around with that a little bit. And I'm going to lead with Zodiac Barrier, and actually, I don't know if I want to use Phoenix that early. Right, so I am going to go with Phoenix in Nexus, Boss Guardian, and Ryu, and we're going to put Incinerate on the field, leave it at that, right? Okay, so based on what we've seen here, our opponent is playing a defensive play style, which honestly, that's not that bad. That's not that bad for where things currently are. I have two options. I can either try and use Kieran to zoom into my assault zone and then with the quicken status effect get past this checkpoint before my opponent's attacker slash defender gets here to block my way. But then Ryu would be forced to attack next turn, and he would be forced to attack into these two cards, which would inevitably kill him. I think for me to win this game, I need one big burst, like one big push all together. So I'm gonna leave things the way that they currently are, to sort of break down our opponent a little bit. Maybe I think we will incinerate here. We will incinerate. And the card that we want to bring the stats down for, I'm thinking about it, because realistically speaking, this card is going to be destroyed first, but then almost immediately afterwards, these cards will also be destroyed. But I think I will target the one that is more likely to be on the field for longer, because the benefit of having a card be ignited, right? When I ignite my opponent's card, yes, they lose 50 now, but they lose 50 for the next 2 turns as well. So the longer they're on the field, the more benefit I get out of that activation. Okay, so turn 1 comes to a close, and we don't need to battle. We don't need to do anything, realistically speaking. We can just wait it out, and then all together now, that's kind of useless. That's kind of useless when we know that the enemy is playing defensive. In a world where we didn't know that was the case, that would actually be very helpful. But for right now, that doesn't help us to mount any sort of offensive. I'm almost tempted to still play it slow. I'm very tempted to still play it slow. Okay, so we're not going to jump just yet. I will summon you in the defense zone. I will... In truth, I feel, oh, am I being too scared? I think that's all I really need. We're just gonna do this. Now, we're falling behind on life points, which isn't great. The reason why I decided to summon Mraiga and Mraiga only is because Mraiga has an effect called Orion's Belt, where all of the cards in your defense zone get boosted by, I believe it's either 50 or 100, we'll find out in a second, I'm pretty sure it's 50, as a permanent boost. It's similar to the Wandering Wukong's ability. Now, if my opponent is playing defensive, then I'm most likely not actually going to end up having to defend myself. The reason why I'm doing this for something else, basically. There's a play that I'm envisioning. There's something that I see in my head, and I want to see if I can actually pull it off. Okay, so turn number 3. We need to top deck something. That actually might be the missing piece that we need to make the play in my head work. All right, so... and we drew Journey's End. This is perfect. I think this is literally perfect. Okay, so Journey's End has the ability to move a card. Normally when a card is on the field, once you put it somewhere, it's stuck there. With the Wandering subset, it's a little bit different though, because they have spatial manipulation powers. So if I put Journey's End on the field, I will also throw down Zodiac Barrier, and I think I'm going to, we'll obviously summon these two, put you in the assault zone, put you in the assault zone. We'll put you in the counter zone, and that's our 3 summons for the turn. The only question I have is... No, I think that's it. I feel like the only other thing I might throw down here is... You know what? No, I'm going to be greedy. Let's throw down Wandering Anim. Now, the Wandering Anim allows us to return a card to our hand when Phoenix uses its ability, but we haven't lost any cards yet. But Phoenix can trigger Wandering Anim to return itself to the hand, so we get a double activation of the Wandering Phoenix. I think that's what we're going to go for. All right, so wave begins. We are going to activate Monkey King first. I mean, we have to make sure we get the order of activations correct. We follow that up with Kirin, which is going to move Ryu to the Assault Zone. So we have 3 cards in the Assault Zone all ready and raring to go. Once that's done, we're going to wait for a second, right? We're going to wait for a second before doing anything else. Allow that chain to resolve. Now, even though Ryu has used Kirin, because there's something blocking his path, he's not going to make it all the way to the opponent's defense zone. That's absolutely fine. We are going to activate... Oh, I really hope I don't get this wrong. We're going to start by activating Zodiac Barrier. That one's easy. That's straightforward. So, we activate Zodiac Barrier. We are going to protect the Wandering Ryu, like we said before, and Phoenix will be our sacrifice. I think I've already messed this up. Nope, I've already messed up the plan that I wanted to do. But that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. These things happen. We will follow that up with the Journey's End, and we are going to move the Wandering Mraiga to the Assault Zone, right? That is our next play. We'll let that chain resolve before we do anything else, right? So the Wandering Ryu is protected. Mraiga is now ready to start fighting, which is awesome. That's cool and everything. But what I want to see happen next, if possible, if at all possible, is we use Rite of Ashes and activate this effect. We will target... I'm running out of time. My time is at the top there. we will target for the boost who's going to gain the most benefit out of this. Based on what I had planned, nothing that I had planned actually looks like it's going to work, which sucks, but that's okay. We will boost the Wandering Wukong off of this effect. Activate Wandering Anim to return that card back to the hand, and activate Trojan Assault, which fortifies Mraiga anytime a card is tributed. Now, there is a much more eloquent way to do what I am doing, okay? This is not optimal gameplay, but it's enough to give you an idea of how this deck works, what kind of things you're thinking about, and how it functions. Now, the reason why all that song and dance was done was to make it so that Savannah is now activatable. I'm going to turn my toggle off so I don't run out of effect time this turn, but Savannah is an effect that says, hey, if any of your cards have lower stats than they should, you can boost their stats up. Now, this is where it becomes important. We attack with you. Let's go for you first. And then we activate Savannah. Please, 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 please don't run out of time. Okay, good. We ran out of time. Okay. So the idea was to try and reduce our defense to boost up our attack, but it didn't quite work out because we ran out of effect time. And in so doing, we kind of broke the game a little bit. Remember that this is still a pre-alpha / open beta, but to explain what I wanted to do sort of requires more mastery of the English language that I have at the point in time of me recording this, because it's like 2 in the morning. But that would be really, really cool. And if you read the cards, you see that there's like a hidden play that you can do with certain combinations. Like it's so awesome. It's just, I failed miserably at it. Now, the hilarious thing about this is that mistake might have actually cost me the game, because it cost me a lot of damage. That mistake actually cost me some of the damage that I was going to need, because I need to reduce the AI's life points to 0. It's not enough to just beat the AI. You have to fully reduce their Nexus gauge to 0. I think I can do something here. We've got Exorcism in play, which is really, really good. We will use that Ryu combination, or that Phoenix combination that I told you about. So we're going to Kirin to send Ryu all the way back to the assault zone, but he will be quickened, so he will move quickly enough to not be intercepted by that enemy card. We're going to discard Shield Wall because our opponent isn't attacking us, to try and draw something, and we're not going to do anything else yet, right? So card exchange, we just got a random rune. It's not really helpful in the situation. Kirin sends us back to our assault zone. We are going to rocket down the lane, and as soon as we have the opportunity, we activate Rite of Ashes onto Ryu. Ryu currently has 400 attack, which is awesome, but it's not enough to clear 300 in 2 places. But if we use Exorcism alongside the boost from the Phoenix, we get a clean 600 attack boost, which is enough for him to clear both of them alone, making way for the other cards here to do something. It's just that something probably still isn't enough, right? We can, do we save Ryu here? So he swings at one opponent's card, we destroy that card, his chain of momentum carries him into the next card, where he will be destroyed along with the card that he's attacking into. But if we use Chaos here, we make it so that the enemy card we're attacking becomes void, and the void status condition makes you intangible, right? That cancels the battle with Ryu, but the other 2 cards who are hanging behind me can still do something here. Now, in truth, Ifrit is kind of broken, because when you use his effect, you're not supposed to be able to attack directly, but if you use it in this specific way with how the game is currently coded, you still can, and I am cheating. I am just outright cheating because I don't want to lose in my own tutorial video. Okay, it's turn 5. We're winning on life, but like I've said, the only way to actually beat the AI is to beat the AI. It doesn't matter if you have higher life at the end of turn 6. When it's an AI battle, you need to actually win. You need to reduce their Nexus gauge to 0, and in truth, I just don't see how we do that successfully here. We can put you on the field. You only cost us 50 50 life points, that's absolutely fine. None of these cards are helpful. Freeze inflicts the isolated status condition, which stops a card from battling. But we need our cards to battle here. We need as much help as we can get to get through this. Ryu only has 200 attack left over, and if we use Kieran, he will not be able to bypass this opponent. So how do we do this? You know what? I'm just gonna stop trying to plan. Let's just go and see what happens. Let's just push go and see what happens. Now, we have the beginning of the wave. Now, if I use Kieran here, I will be boosted up to 300 attack. I will be forced to swing into this guy, and he and I will both just die. And that's not exactly what I want here. Whew. I think we have to sacrifice Ryu. I think sacrificing Ryu is literally our only option. It's our only play right now. I'm gonna Kieran. I'm gonna Kieran to get over, because we haven't used Bound yet. Bound is still an option in our back pocket, which means that we can still use Coercion to do something next turn, right? If we can just force out a little bit more from our opponent, because if we destroy this card, he's gonna summon it again. It'll cost him 100 life points. We don't use Wild Roar here, so he's gonna replace that card next turn. That's 100 down. Then if we are able to take out just one of these two cards here, he will summon himself down to just 50 life points. Not gonna Wild Roar that. Oh, maybe I should have. Maybe that was dumb. I think that was dumb. Oh no, that was dumb. That was dumb. Oh, that was dumb. If I had Wild Roared that, we would have both been destroyed. But we would have both been destroyed, so that would have been fine. I'll swing into you. Don't chain. Oh no, I've ruined it. I needed even if I Wild Roar this, I needed Mraiga to stay on the field in order to be able to deal that 50 damage if I can make an opening. But now even if I do, I've got no one left, right? Coercion can cross that distance quickly enough, but there's no one left to actually deal the final blow to the opponent. We came very, very close, but I'm pretty sure we lose this. I would like for everyone at home to recognize and understand that this is not a representation of the Wandering subset. This is not it's not the deck that's the problem here. I am 100% sure that there was a means to victory somewhere in this contest, and I just didn't deliver. I just missed, unfortunately. So yeah, they get down to 50 life points. If we had a way, because my plan here was leap through this, right? So if we activate leap onto Coercion, he can dash, he gets quicken, he can boom, zoom to the opponent defense zone, and he would have been able to do something maybe if we still had the Wild Roar effect in play. But you know what, in hindsight, maybe I didn't actually have a path to lethal with that. I just had a lot of high hopes and dreams, and now I have nothing. Venom Pulse here doesn't do anything for us. We don't have to attack. If we do, we don't really gain anything off of it. In truth, this is a loss, so I'm just gonna, you know what, no. Let's play it through, right? In the situation, I could choose to attack just to be petty, just to be like, oh hey, like listen, I hit the king. Hey, I'm doing my best out here. I'm doing the best that I can do. We swing into the other one. The chain of momentum forces us to attack him next, but he doesn't die. He doesn't die, so we don't have an opening. We don't have a gateway to lethal, and even if we did, there are no more attackers left over. Yeah, go ahead, swing, why not? We did everything we could do. So that's an example of how you can lose to the AI with the Wandering subset. Maybe not the best for a guide, but I'm not doing this again. I refuse. I refuse to do this again, so this will be the benchmark. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this at least showed you some of the thought processes that might go into playing the Wandering subset, and I hope you can play it a little bit better than me now that you've got an idea of what some of the effects do. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, consider joining the Discord, playing the game, and have a wonderful day. Take care.